How's everybody doing? We're getting closer to the holiday, and I know that my videos on the cosmos, part one and part two, did not get the views or that many people normally associate me with getting lots of views when it comes to the occult. It's interesting that this particular segment of the occult seems to not be very popular. That's going to happen. You can't have a run of having video success without a few failures. And I only say failure because it is difficult. It is difficult to grasp, but it's even more difficult to teach in a simplistic way. But it's really, really important that you make an effort to understand it. It is because it is the beauty of the Creator uh, to show you the behind the scenes machinations of God. It's quite an enormous gift. It is. Um, how can you benefit with this information? How does it nourish you? Well, one thing, it depends on your perspective on both religion and spirituality. Both two separate ideologies or concepts. But it is spirituality that gave birth to religion, not the other way around. With each changing age and with each changing epoch, we see a fabric that runs the same for all the ages and timelines and epochs long past. But it doesn't mean that they don't repeat themselves in some form or another in the current epoch that we're living in. It's important to understand that this is a wheel of life that repeats itself. And if you can see that pattern, you can decode the actual DNA of God. If you do this with great understanding, you may not even be aware of this, the ego, which dominates material earth life, will be completely oblivious of the transformation that's happening spiritually behind the scenes, directing the ego. We think that it is the ego directing spirit and everything else. In a way, it is. In a way, it is. But it doesn't have full range of the chariot. Right behind the ego is the template of spirituality that spans eons and eons, which is reflected by past life existences. If we go backwards in time, we're going to see man's early evolution into becoming humanity. But once the human condition reaches a plateau of evolutionary growth in which it cannot grow anymore as far as human experience, the next level is godity. Godity. From here, we become gods, creating our own universes, creating our own paradigm of life that we have learned as a humanity from multiple lifetimes. Now we graduate and we get to create and govern our own solar system, our own galaxy, and beyond. This is the reason why humanity is in an Earth school with, with lots of challenges and tests. But understand that even that can be controlled and mastered. It's all energy. Okay? Let's recap about what we talked about in part two concerning the tree of life. And the tree of life really breaks it down and really gives you the template of God from beginning to the end. I'm going to make this very, very brief because, again, I'm not concerned about the viral going viral or the popularity, for the exception that you have a cognitive understanding. If you don't, I kind of feel that I failed you because, it takes a master teacher, skillful teacher, to be able to bring the complexities of God and the universe into a simplistic explanation that can be appreciated by all human beings, regardless of the education or the intellectual acumen. Okay, so without further ado, let's go back and finish part three. Okay, so let's see. Well, we gotta go through the bullshit. I'm keeping this adjustable. Sloppy. Okay. I may have to hold the phone. I was cyberly attacked, so my laptop and my new tablet don't work, and I couldn't download the videos that many people pay for. This is the worst delay in my company's history. But trust me when I tell you that that's not going to happen again. We're 75% operable, and by the end of January, we plan to be fully operable because we opened or reopened the school in February. Okay? Let's see. The sun is very high, so I can't really see you. Divine Lioness, greetings. Now, 1111. Superb. None love from Brooklyn. Love you back. Salt Ring Tarot. Yes. So, hey, hope you're great. Thank you. I'm only great because of you. Because of you. All right. Oh, Lord. You know how it is. You know how it is. And I have I'm charging, but you know that it's not charging. It's not taking the charge, and there's no explanation as to why. But guys, we've been here before. We know what this is about. We know what it's about. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because I gotta get out. When you get up. Oh. I'm getting ready to fly out to Mexico, Cabo San Lucas. I won't say the date, because the ops, they're so mad at me that they might try to curse the fucking plane or something. They're just too much. From Mexico, I will fly to Seattle, and when I come back to Texas, I will be living in another house, but that's a little bit more private and exclusive. And then from there, I plan to have my own house or apartment like I did at Memorial. Because, I can't really continue my spiritual lessons without being stable in an apartment where I can put my altar and I can do all my shit. This is why they call some people homeless, to destroy that foundation. The universe allowed it to happen because it has its own reasons. See, now I put it like this, but then the problem is that it slides because I got the damn headset plugged in. And I don't know why this one is really stupid because instead of putting the headset on top of the phone, it's put at the bottom. So there's no way that I can make it stand if the plug is at the bottom. Who does that? It's so stupid. See, no matter how I move it, It's not going to, it moves on its own. But that's, the demiurge. So it slides. It slides. Oh, I tell you, it's that this types of moment-to-moment adjustments alone can exhaust you. It's all part of it. All part of it. Okay. And it's called chaos magic. Okay. Let's see. If you remember this diagram, no? And I was telling you that there is a scientific order in which the universe unfolds. And just like we have DNA that makes us who we are, this here is the DNA that makes up God. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Tower of Babel. If you read the story, and I mentioned it many times, humanity was reaching a point of homogeneity, of oneness. They were heading towards discovering this and reaching godity. Humanity started here. The goal for humanity is to go all the way up here and become God. But once humanity reaches this point, we're no longer human, but we become gods. And the threat is that once we do, we get to overthrow the existing gods ruling. Everybody got a chance at the wheel. This is why the demiurge, Jehovah, Saturn, El Sabbath, El Sadid, and the multiple names he goes by throughout all the races and cultures, is so severe and determined not to allow man to reach godity. He can't stop it, but he can slow us down. And this is why Jehovah struck humanity as they almost reached the tower. And then all humanity broke down into different languages, being dispersed. Now they can't work together. So now the human evolution towards godity has been slowed down. This occurred during the age of Gemini, which deals with communication, language, and the multiplicity and variety of cultures and the races. Right? He didn't struck the tower. If you read the passage in the Bible carefully, he struck humanity. This is still happening today. Well, what goes around comes around. What went before will come again. Hopefully in the Aquarian age, we will reach godity without the interference of the demiurge. For that to occur, there has to be some kind of divine intervention, which these extraterrestrial beings are going to come here to bring to balance. And the Bible talks about it. I came as the lamb, which is the symbol of Jesus Christ, and the fishes, and I shall return as the Lion of Judah. We're in the Aquarian age, and the opposite polarity point of the expression of the Aquarian age will be through its polarity point, which is Leo, the lion. Which is why these extraterrestrial beings, when they get here, they look like lions. It's in Revelation in detail. In detail. So this connects with that. And if you read the book of Revelation and you read these passages, yes, it is terrifying. It is very terrifying what's about to happen. But understand that it's not new. Heaven and earth has come and gone, and will always be a part of the wheel. It might not be the Aquarian age, it might be the Capricorn age, which will follow Aquarius some 2,500 years from now. And the same pattern of life will repeat itself in that age. And it's just a wheel. So it's all an illusion. Now here, let's talk a little bit about uh, how the planets, because we went into the great separation. The great separation of breaking the serpent in half. One stays above and one stays below. The separation of the serpent, cutting it in half, sparks the beginning of the male god's existence. They are in charge of bringing into action through physical form the imagination of Gaia. Now, you might be asking yourself, why cut the snake in half? In every culture, there is this concept of the serpent. Even in the West, the serpent in the garden. But understand that it is a much deeper meaning and truth that has to be carefully explained. You have to slay the serpent goddess, which is the energy of Gaia, who is constantly imagining. She don't stop imagining. She creates one world, and before we get a taste of that world, it's broken down and a new one created. And it goes on and on and on. So in order to slow her down in her imagination, she had to be slain. Now, when you do that, and you cause a separation, you create a vacuum, a gap. Now, the imaginations of Gaia move very slowly, and the manifestation of those imaginations solidifies into concrete form, not just carbon, but other form that is unknown to us. The separation of the imagination of Gaia and the manifestation of form, in between this gap is something called time. Time is born when Gaia is slain and broken in half. Now she can't imagine too quickly. She's too preoccupied in regrowing her tail. That's why the snake is the perfect symbol for Gaia, because a snake on Earth, if you cut the snake in half, it will regrow another part. This is the symbol of the Alpha and the Omega, the snake biting its own tail. That symbol symbolizes that even though you cut the serpent in half, Gaia will still regrow a part of that tail. So therefore, you can't destroy her. You can't stop her, but you can delay her. And this is what we call time. Now we have time to view and experience and appreciate creation in concrete form. Eventually, this form will be destroyed over time. Scientists call this entropy. Entropy is the destruction of matter over time. We are also part of that process. We grow old and then we die. That's entropy. Everything in the universe has a timeline of existence before it destroys itself. This is why Gaia had to be slain. It's to preoccupy her in regrowing another tail. And then she begins the process of imagination, unencumbered and uninterrupted. Someone has to come again and slay her and bring her in half and create time again. This is how timelines are created. If Gaia was too busy imagining, this world will be created, but before we even get a taste of it, it will be destroyed through entropy. It's a catabolism. You have the anabolism, and then you have the catabolism, the destruction of form and matter. And these worlds that are allowed to exist over a period of time now become memory storehouses, which we call the Akashic records. The Akashic record shows the history of the universe through time by the slaying of Gaia. which spark the slowing down of her imagination, allowing existence to be appreciated for a specific period of time. Does that make sense? Okay. This gives birth to positive and negative forces, or the polarity. And it also creates a hologram, a holographic reality of that which is imaginable to that becomes concrete manifestation. We as human beings have the same gift. We have the same ability. I can write a book or I can write a story in my mind and then write it in actual book form. So now my imagination has taken form through a book, through music, through acting, whatever creative process one chooses. In order to appreciate it and observe its unique value, we need time on our side to help us appreciate the imaginations of Gaia. That if this slaying doesn't occur, we will never experience the world that we are experiencing today, yesterday, and in the future, because there's no cornerstone to hold it, because Gaia is constantly imagining, constantly creating. And this was the way to slow her down, so that all universes and imaginations, whatever they are, whatever they can take temporary form or hold. This is what we call time. Now let's look at the interrelationship of the planets. We know what they are because we study the mythology of the gods, which is personified by the planets. Their relationship to each other is also here. And this key. Okay? Now, if you look, I don't know what I did with my pointer. If we look, here we got Uranus, the king and the first of the gods, male. Neptune is Gaia, which is above, and it has been slain in order to bring out the male god. This here is symbolic of man's early passage as a hermaphrodite, when he was both man and female on physical form on earth, where he had a penis and she had a penis and a vagina. Today, the woman has only the vagina, but technically she still has that penis, which is the clitoris, which is why a woman enjoys orgasm multiple times, just like Gaia imagines multiple times. This is the multiple orgasmic flow that's associated with only females, because they still have that penis, whereas men just have the penis and their orgasm is limited. A man can masturbate or have sex maybe times 3 times. By the fourth, when he ejaculates, the urethra begins to stretch and begins to shut down, and the hormones producing the semen and the sperm begins to shut down. This has to happen because if the man continues to throw out sperm constantly without control, this too becomes an excess in which creation is halted because it's always constantly changing. So even sexuality is directly connected to the slowing down process of imagination. This is why when men masturbate, they can't masturbate unless they imagine what they are masturbating. Today we got pornos to sidestep that imagination. But if a man decides to masturbate looking at his imagination, it will be more fulfilling and pleasurable than actually being stimulated by visual pornography. Think about it, it's deep. It's deep. A woman can hold orgasm all day long and still have plenty of energy, outdoing demands sexually. But this energy, which is never explained by science, is symbolic of the constant imagining of Gaia, which in itself is orgasmic, because the gods don't have penises and vaginas. Their way of orgasm is through the process of imagination. Whereas with mankind, there is a physical aspect of that to procreate. Just like Gaia procreates imaginable worlds, so too can men procreate. Not just imagines and concepts and objects and cities and monuments, but they can also produce offspring, which is also part of the creative process. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope it does. Now I'm giving you a little, chunk pieces, piecemeal, for you to grab, and I hope it makes sense. We're going to end here and go to part 4. Please donate. Please give. 281-690-8825 or CashApp, Fernando, FERNA, number 5, NDO, so I can continue to bring these videos for you. Okay? I'll talk to you again. I hope this helps. Oh, well, you know what? They're telling me not to complete the diagram about the interrelationship with the planets. But I don't want to do that just yet. I needed to explain the concept of time and allow you to marinate on that. We will do another video. I hope this helps somebody.